Here is a short video to catch up on the game of La Bataille de Espagnol de Talavera. We have an interesting situation. It's going to be the Allied turn at 5:20. We're ending here at the end of the 8th hour. So we got about 12, 14 or so more turns, but we've had quite a few since an hour or two since the last video. That's 6 turns. What has happened? Well, here is the French line. Here is the British line, and here are what are left of the Spaniards. The French have actually taken the town of Talavera. Now this is a victory for them. If they were to stop the game now, they would have a victory, because a comparable Allied victory is to put both French corps on level 1. Morale. Now the 4th corps is on level 1. It's going to take 5 more destroyed or routed brigades of the 1st corps before that happens. So the French could stop now and claim a victory. However, that's just a victory. There's overwhelming victory, which would be if they exit a corps off the map. The route DOPs are down there. Now they can't do it with the 4th corps because it needs to be at level 1 or no worse than level 1. No, in fact they could do that at the moment, but that one's a bit fragile. The best chance is with this corps. But we have over here, we have the French Guard here, and they have just succeeded in ousting a British brigade, an elite British brigade. However, in doing so, they took quite a few points damage, and they did actually have a rout. They recovered from it, but it shows how strong the British can be. So in trying to fight their way through to here, the British are basically hanging on in the hope that they can deal enough damage to the French before nightfall that will deter them from any further attack down this route in the foreseeable future. So if the Anglo-Spanish army place both French corps on level 1, they get a victory. They might achieve that, and if so, then these two victories cancel out. So the capture of Talavera and both corps on level 1 will cancel each other out. But the French might go on and then try to exit that corps, in which case the Anglo-Spanish army must place both French corps on level 2 or higher, or capture the King of Spain, which isn't really going to happen. He's back down here with a cavalry guard. But it does appear they have a chance to put at least both on level 1, if not level 2. I don't think level 2 is going to happen. They should crumble before then, but we'll have to see. The Spanish are still holding, but the French are pressing through. The Spanish had some cavalry that gallantly sort of tried to charge some of the French crossing here, but then the British quickly brought in their heavy cavalry and have dealt severe blows. So there's just 2 Spanish cavalry units left. There's 2 here. One of them still in disorder and may rout away. So there's not much Spanish left to delay the French. They're going to come round here. I don't think it's going to cost them another level of morale. The thing is that essentially what we have to do is we have to have our leaders. That's Sebastian. He's a wonderful leader in attack and defence and so forth, but he's got 5 for morale. So he's having to sort of have a duty at the back, trying to rout units that have rally units that have routed away. We've got another one there. just to keep the morale up, keep the troops back in the fight. This is kind of a funny thing. I abstracted away saying they're not necessarily literally running back and forth, but we could maybe abstract it out and put units that route on a track, and at the further along the track they get to, if they reach the end of it, they're completely gone, and then it goes up and down according to as they're rallied or not by the leaders. So we could consider all that activities happening around here. However, the game mechanics declare it like this. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just surprised that the British are holding out so long. We had another leader loss, which resulted surprisingly leader casualty, which was just a flesh wound. Again, the leaders are so lucky at the moment. Spanish are holding on. The French it's like island hopping from grove to grove of vineyards. They're just starting to clear this one out here. I got one a bit isolated there. We'll see if he manages to stay in. There's some British cavalry here. They're in a melee at the moment. They both sort of stood and took losses last turn, and then the French have been unlimbering their guns, essentially to try and send the British back. See, they unlimbered 3 batteries here, and the British retreated from their line here. Now, the British have a pile of lost skirmishers there. Many of them occurred within the last hour or two, as they were trying to hold back and interdict the French coming up, and were basically either shot or meleeed. No, they wouldn't have been meleeed by the cavalry, but the cavalry ran through. So some of them were shot up, and some had to retreat back onto their parent units. They could come out into the line here, but then I think they're going to get shot to pieces by the artillery. So we'll see if we can use them later on. These are just indicating the range of this is a cavalry in skirmish order. This indicates the range of effect it has with delaying the Brits, because there was some thought the Brits might suddenly launch spoiling counterattacks, hoping to knock out enough French units to bring them up to that required morale level. So it's going forward slowly, quite cautiously for the French. They want to keep themselves in the fight. The British are getting quite desperate. And the Spanish, well, I'm really amazed at how bold some of them have been and managed to stay on despite such terrible morale levels. I mean, the greatest benefit really is the fact that in groves and in the town, you're in general order. And when you're in general order, you don't have to roll to stand before melee combat, which actually makes a rather strange thing in that any time a Spanish unit is fired upon, in fire combat, that's not melee combat, they have to make a morale check whether they get any losses or not. If they fail that morale check, they will disorder away and possibly rout in the recovery segment. However, if they survive that, then they're about to get meleeed, they stand. They're really stalwart. So it appears, I think it's a bit of a bump in the uniting that special rule with the actual rules of the series rules. Maybe if they didn't, so that, they run before volleys, but they stand before bayonets. If they had to roll again with the bayonets, even when in good order, I mean, even in general order terrain, maybe they just would be too flimsy. There wouldn't be really much point in having them. But anyway, I'm still enjoying it. I've got to go, and I hope to finish the game before this room's used. We have some guests coming later this week, so we'll have to see how it goes.